What up everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Robbie today, and today we're working again on the FRS. What are we doing today? We're just installing some coilovers on this car because the springs and the shocks on this car just piss me off because they're so soft. They need to be harder. So harder is better is what the girls say. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna swap these stock shocks and these stock springs that come with it, and we're gonna put some Tein coilovers that my girlfriend got for Christmas. So if you guys don't have an impact gun like this Mel Effie is really legit. You do need to undo your lug nuts first while the car is still down, not up, as I already have it up on 4 jacks. So if you don't have an impact gun, just make sure you undo your lug nuts all around so that way they're nice and loose, so you'll be able to wrench those off once you lift the car. Alright boys, so we're going to begin with the fronts first. We do want to always check your top hats because these specific Tein coilovers do require to have the stock top hats. These are the street basis ones, the cheaper kinds, and my top hats look like they have a little bit wear and tear there. There's a small little crack if you guys can see it up there, but that's fine. I've seen quite a few FRSs that have that. This is a quite low mileage car as well. It has a little bit less than 40,000 miles on it, so they're okay being like this. It's once they if you see some kind of leakage, I believe there's some kind of liquid inside, or once they're really like squeaking or something like that, that's when you do want to change those out, and they're about 50 bucks a pop at your local auto store. Alright boys, let's start from the front, going on to the backs after that. First things first, you do have to remove the two bolts here that are holding the spindle to the struts. Those are 90 millimeters. Second step will be removing your tie rod from the top. Impact will help a lot in these cases because you don't want to spin your thing, not tie rod, I'm sorry. This is the sway bar link. So remove the sway bar link second, and then do the same thing. I would suggest you do all these things on both sides at the same time, so the sway bar does not get any type of a pressure from the opposite side or something like that. So that's that. You are going to have to remove the tie rod, which is right there. This is the bolt. Make sure you remove these little pins and stuff like that, and you should be good to go from there. So 2 bolts here, 1 bolt here, and then your tie rod bolt, which is down here. And that should free up enough space for this to push downward, and once you do that, this will pop up, and you should be good to go from there. And again, do this on both sides at the same time, and always keep these bolts on top here, top of the strut, fastened until last minute. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get that started right now. Alright, there you go guys, first one out. Again, remove these 2 bolts. Make sure you actually, I forgot to tell you guys, make sure you undo both of these lines here, and make sure you take out this clip. This is your ABS sensor. ABS sensor. There's small little clips here, so you would push with your screwdriver on this side, pop it this side like this, then push the screwdriver on the opposite side, then you pops that clip off. And then this one here is held by a 12 millimeter. Remove that and you're all set. For your tie rod here, which is this bad boy right there, we suggest that you put the nut, which is this looking one. You're gonna put it on backwards onto the tie rod. After you undo it, put it on backwards. Make sure it's flush when you put it on like this. You see how it's not flush right now, so you want it to be flush. So flush it out like this, perfectly flush, and then hit it with a hammer just 1 time. It'll just pop it straight down. After that's done, you can unscrew it, and you should be able to pop that tie rod right off. It does need to be a little bit impacted or hit on top. Don't hit this part because you will feather that out, and you don't want to do that. That's why we wanted this nut to be flushed out there, so it's more of leverage and it just pushes down on it. So that's pretty much it. Remove these 2 bolts again. Remove your sway bar link. That has to be done with an impact, or just I don't know, put an Allen key in there and then just undo it if you don't have an impact. And then also you remove your tie rod, and make sure you remove both of these lines. This is hanging by the actual knuckle, which is down there. I haven't really messed with the knuckle at all. There's no tension, and this is barely any tension on this line, so don't worry about it. This is my brake line, and then again, no tension on this because it's your ABS little sensor. Out with the old and in with the Hulk. Yeah, buddy, those Teins look really damn good, boys. This is the driver's side, and that's the passenger side right there. Now we're doing the most dangerous part, which is removing the actual top hats. These are the street basis Teins, so these require the stock top hats that go on the car. So basically we have to remove the top hat. Now this spring here is compressed. It's not a lot compressed, but it's quite compressed right now. So that said, we're gonna have to get some spring compressors. You can rent those out. You don't have to have your own. You can rent them for about 50 to 60 bucks from your local O'Reilly's or AutoZone store. And what they do is basically they clamp the spring and they compress it a little bit, so that way you can unscrew the top hat. You don't have to, and you don't have to worry about it popping and flying and stuff like that. Now double check the spring compressors at your local hardware store or your actual auto parts store has, because there's different types and there's a lot of different kinds that actually are not very well built and they can snap. They're very dangerous to do. So if you guys have a shop that you can have them unscrew these top hats for you, go ahead and do that, so that way you're super safe. If you don't, then go ahead and rent a tool, which I'll show you guys in just a second what it looks like. And then you're gonna have to compress the spring, unscrew the top hat, and remove the top hats and reapply them onto here. So wish me luck. We're gonna start doing that right now. So this is the tool that you're gonna get from O'Reilly's store. Mine was $53.99 to rent it. We're just renting it out because we're not doing suspension like every day, even though today we're doing like 3 different types of suspensions in 3 different cars. So yeah, anyways, there's your stock struts right there. The stock struts will have a small little rubber that you would pop off like that. And there is, here is your bolt to unscrew basically. This one here is going to need an impact so you can get it off easily because it'll spin most likely, or you could hold it right there. You can see that there is a actual Allen key that you can put in there so you can hold it from spinning and then do it with a manual wrench. Alright, so that's pretty much it. And then these are the spring compressors. How this initially works is this here, you guys can see these color pins. These are the dangerous things. These might snap, and if they snap, your top hat goes bye-bye or flies into somebody's car or somebody's window or something happens, you might lose a finger. So basically how they go is like this. They would grab onto here, he would start ratcheting it so it actually compresses the spring, and you would put one on the other side as well. Just try to make them as even as possible and be very careful. Do a little bit at a time. Do not use power tools when you wrench this, because power tools will compress a lot at real quick speed, and one side might be off and it'll be all tinkered this way and that way. It could snap off very easily, guys, so be very careful and cautious when you do this. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start wrenching these guys up. Make sure you lock these things in place like this so you guys can see how it's nicely locked. We're gonna lock the other one as well and start compressing that spring down on both sides, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Then after that, we're just gonna unscrew that guy and take it off. Eventually, this is what it's going to look like when you have your spring compressors in. You guys can see that both of those are locked into place, so they're not popping out. I made it as wide as possible here, so this one is going to compress a little bit easier than this one here would, because this is a small space to compress, but it should be enough. It doesn't need to be that compressed. It just needs to be enough to loosen up the pressure from here, so you guys can unscrew that and pop it off safely without shooting it into space. Alright boys, there it is. It's nicely compressed on this side, you guys can see, and on this side as well, pretty compressed. You want to be able to see how there's some play here. I can move this pretty easily here. So that tells me that the spring is already compressed enough. Even if I unscrew this bolt right on top, it shouldn't fly off at all. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I think that's a 17 mil right there, and pop it off with the impact. Alright boys, moment of truth. We're about to die. Just point it at the neighbor's car.
Don't point it at anybody's car, you dumbass.
I'm just kidding. Ready? 1, 2. Snap. Did that work? No, it didn't. That is spinning on the inside. Well, boys, that didn't work. We need to.
Let me see the top of it.
We need to hold it with an Allen key now, guys. So, actually, it's pretty. It should be undone. Come on. Nope.
Good luck, because I don't have the wrenches you need to do that.
All right, let me see what I can do, guys. I'm probably gonna get like a, I don't know, something in here so I can squeeze it. All right. There you go. Spring uncompressed. But yeah, so basically, guys, what we did here is we removed this by actually kind of like putting some pressure sideways on this, so that way it kind of held this thing in place. And that's a locking nut, the one on top. So this one is a locking nut. So it looks a little bit efferinoed, but that's how it is actually, I guess, because look, only the top is a little bit pinched in. I think that's on purpose to lock in place. But anyways, that's what it is basically. And just wiggle this or hold it kind of at an angle. Have somebody hold it at an angle like this. So give it a little bit more pressure and just keep hitting it with the impact gun. That way it's gonna come off real nice and easy. And yeah, look at that, looks pretty good. We have our top hats off finally, and we're gonna reapply those the same way they came out onto the new coilover. So we're gonna start assembling the new one now. Everything here came off of the opposite side. Everything is unloaded on this side, so we don't care about the stocks no more. But anyways, this is how they're gonna come assembled. These pieces are gonna be separate. They're not gonna be pre-installed on this, so make sure you guys find these inside your box somewhere. Those are kind of like the new top hats type of seaters. So what you need is this little washer here, and you're gonna need your new nut that came with everything. This is the bad boy right there, and then how everything goes back together. And there's also a diagram in the instructions of this. Is you put your spring on, you're gonna put this bad boy on, and it only goes one way. There's kind of like a, you know, kind of like a groove right there, so it only goes one way in. And then make sure it's not backwards, not like this. Make sure it's this way. That goes in very nicely. And then is this spacer here. Put that on. And then you are going to be eliminating this and then this. So you don't put that on no more. That stays with the stock stuff. And then there's your top hat here. Top hat goes on nicely like that. It's going to be nicely spaced, as you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see. Yep, right there. Nice little space right there. And then you put your nut right on top. And that's pretty much it, boys. That's how you assemble it. After that, just do everything backwards to attach it to the car. I'm gonna go ahead and Harambe this with the impact that we have, and 3 big hugga-duggas. There is probably a torque spec to this, so I'll probably check the manual for this, and I'll let you guys know in just a second, but we're just gonna do it Harambe style. So ready to tighten this bad boy on here. The manual here says that it needs to be about 40 foot-pounds. So 40 foot-pounds, it equals to 2 hugga-duggas on our impact. And hugga-duggas mean top, 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 pretty much. So we figured out that basically what you could do to install this is to put some load on the spring here. So basically start untightening this or tightening this, so that way the spring puts load on the top hat. And then after that, just hit it with the impact on top, and you should be able to get that nut on. And that's what we just did. Alright boys, so one thing to note real quick. So basically there's 2 holes, one right there and one right there. And both of those clip. One of them snaps here, one of them snaps on top. This one holds the what do you call, the ABS line, the ABS little wire. And then this one here obviously holds the brake line. The 12 millimeter nut right there screws directly onto the Teins. And then these 2 bolts here are different. The one with the big diameter on the back side here goes on top, and the skinnier one goes on the bottom right there. Then right after that, you're gonna attach your tie rod, and we haven't put the pin that goes through yet. We're gonna always use new pins, don't use the old ones. So we're gonna use a new pin here, and then the last thing would be your sway bar link, which is attached right there. Just move the sway bar all the way in or all the way up, and then that should align up pretty quickly. After that, check your factory specs on your car of what's torque that needs to be done to them. We just make them real tight, so make sure everything is not going to come off anytime soon. So we're gonna go ahead and use the impact on this because those bolts are pretty thick and they should be pretty cool with the impact. We're not gonna go super crazy with the impact. We're just probably gonna do like 3 or 4 hits on it, and then it should be good. We're gonna tighten this bad boy right here, this line nicely, and we should be pretty much wrapped up here in the front. Everything is installed perfectly fine. Everything is super tight here. These guys here, we went ahead and put, well, make sure first of all that this is not like this. So make sure this is it fits nicely in this little groove here. And then we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threads on this side, and we're gonna do the same thing in the opposite side so they're even. This specific coilovers, because they're the street bases, they don't have a preload, so they already are set from factory and you can't really do much to do anything else. We did put a little bit anti-seize though on these threads here because we don't want that to seize, and they do seize. So make sure you guys just put a little bit anti-seize here so that way these guys can be nice and easy to adjust when you want to adjust them up and down. And that's about it. There's no preload on these. They are not rebuildable, so when they go bad, you're gonna have to buy yourself new ones. That's what you get for the price.
Alright boys, the front is officially slammed. I mean, check that out. Monster truck, non-monster truck. Looks good. We're gonna continue on in a little bit here. We're gonna go ahead and go grab some food first and come back and do the rears because there's no rush to anything, so we're just gonna do it. Even if we lose some light, we do have quite a bit of LEDs, so looks amazing. Look at how low that is. That's about a finger length. It is going to go down a little bit lower as they settle, but if it starts to rub or anything like that, we'll bring her back up. Now this is only 5 threads up from the lowest setting, and so you guys can see the wheels are actually, or not the wheels, the tires are actually a little bit stretched. These tires that the wheels came with, because we bought these from a person in Kelly, they're a little bit stretched, so they are going to tuck under. So I think we'll be okay on the rubbing part. I don't think we're going to be hitting, because that's about about 1 finger, you know, space in between there, and the wheel is a little bit, you know, cambered in type of a deal, so we should be all right. But yeah, looks pretty good.
Alright guys, now we're doing the rears. You're gonna have to do this 17 mil, that 14 mil, and that 17 mil right there, and then our control arm there is gonna swing this way. In most cars, you would have to undo this one, and that one, and then it will swing this way. But in this car, it's the opposite. You have to do the inner side that way. Always make sure you keep track of exactly where the bolts go. They're all different lengths. Alright guys, as you guys can see, the bolts are all different lengths. The one closest to the outside, which is that bolt right there, is the longest. Then there's a 14 mil in the middle, and then there's a 17 mil on the right side as well. On this side will be the opposite. Of course, the longest bolt will be the one further over here. Then it's going to be the 14 mil, and then it's going to be another 17 this way. Alright, make sure you guys know that. I'm going to go ahead and drop this side as well, and then we're going to do both sides at the same time so you guys can see how everything is assembled on the back. After you're done with the bottoms, and then the arm is pretty much just swinging down, you're going to come on top here on the back, and this whole cover just kind of folds, and there's 2 bolts in there. There needs to be. They're both 14s. Do one side and then do the second, and then the strut should fall down. Alright boys, so to get these 2 rear ones, don't even trip. Don't even try to put the freaking spring compressor. There's no point. The compression of the springs are very low, so actually you do need extra pressure in order to get these 2 nuts on top off. So I had to use a pry bar and put the pry bar right on top of the spring here and press against the hat here in the corner. That way I give more pressure to the hat, and that way you can get the nut off with an impact. You're not getting that nut off without a special tool, or if you don't have an impact. So make sure you guys have an impact to do this. Alright guys, let's start on assembling the rears. What you're gonna need to do first is adjust your height as much as you want, pretty much, and then from that point on you're going to be putting this little white washer and make sure that's on there. And then after that, put your sock on. Alright, make sure it's right at this point. Let's see if it'll focus today. Make sure it's right at this point there. And then after that, you're gonna put your spring. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the spring on now. Alright, I got the spring in. Beautiful, like that. After you get your spring in, let me get my legs to hold this. There you go. Then you're gonna put your washer, which is this thick washer right there. Boom. Then you're gonna put your other washer, which is that one. Boom. Make sure Your rubber here has a little spot for where the spring's supposed to sit on, which is right there. And mine is going to be pretty much, I believe, right there. And then check it before you screw the top. And after that's all aligned, just put the nut on top and then tighten it. All right, boys, there you have it. It's all pretty much put together. Same exact way it came out. No difference or anything like that. Everything came out real smooth. Make sure you tighten up the insides, the inside 2 nuts, and in the trunk I'm talking about. And that's pretty much it. We're gonna leave it at this height right now. It's at about 2 inches right now here, and it's about 2, almost and a half on the opposite side, but the road is a little bit slanted as well. So I'm thinking that's probably why. I'm gonna let it settle for about a day or two, driving it and see how low it's gonna get. The front is about the same on this side and the same on the opposite side, so it looks pretty good. I'll show you guys a shot of it in the daytime as well later on, but not today because it's obviously really dark right now. And yeah, so that's pretty much a wrap. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video installing the coilovers on the FRS. What else is there? There's a lot more stuff coming to the channel. I'm sorry we haven't uploaded in a long time on this channel. We had some personal things that we had to take care of, but we already did that and everything is back on track now with the channel. We're going to start uploading more and more videos. There's a ton of videos coming for the Speed, so please stand by the channel. Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. Let's show you guys the final product of the FRS now. So we're going to throw on 3 pictures here that we have from the car already parked. It's been about a week since we installed the coilovers. Here's picture 1. And here's picture 2, and here's picture 3. So the car looks really good, as you guys can see in the pictures that we showed, that both ends are pretty much leveled perfectly fine. Car drives amazing. There's no clicks or dings or anything like that. It is pretty stiff, but that's how Tein coilovers are. So, you know, it is what it is. For about the price that we got them for, it's the best we can hope for. And actually, they ride really, really well. I'm very surprised of the performance on those street basis coilovers from Tein. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Again, smash that thumbs up, please. It helps us a lot on this channel. Make sure you guys subscribe so you guys can be notified all the time when we have new uploads and stuff like that. And make sure you also select that notification bell so that happens, actually. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. And don't forget, what's behind you doesn't matter. You better love it.